Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Elevate Her podcast. Today, I have Mariela Toledo, who is the founder of Fanny Packs, and I'm so happy to have her on the show. Welcome, Mariela.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Love that. So, first of all, tell us a bit more about yourself, where you're coming from, and what are you working on currently.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Guatemala. And then I went to Los Angeles for university, where I first did my technical associate's degree in the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, where I studied merchandise product development. And afterwards, I attended Pepperdine University, where I got my bachelor's in business administration. And I graduated 2019. And after that, I basically decided to move back home after having done a trip where I met you in Cape Town, and I worked with a social impact incubator in Uganda for a couple of months, which was awesome. And so after being with entrepreneurs and seeing like all of that, I decided to really go for it with my business that I had previously launched my senior year of college as a like kind of a test run. So what my business is, it's called the 11th, and we make fanny packs made out of repurposed leather. My family is in the leather belt industry. My dad and my grandpa opened a leather belt factory um, like 30 years ago, approximately. And so they first started like manufacturing a lot different leather goods like handbags and shoes, and then they decided to only focus on belts and became one of the largest belt manufacturers in the world. Um, so that I was always wanting to be involved in that business in a way, but wanting to do my own thing as well.
Mhm.
And another thing I should have mentioned is I'm always been passionate about sustainability. I think it was shocking to me that not many people knew that like the fashion industry is the second biggest polluter in the world. I don't think when you think of pollution or climate change, you never think of, oh, the shirt I bought at Forever 21 contributes to that. So that was always important to me in my career to involve it in fashion in some way for it to be sustainable and to create awareness on this project. So what I decided to do was there's a lot of scrap leather in the production of leather belts because the cow shape is not even. So when you cut the belt, there's a lot left over. So I take that leather and that's what I use as my material to make the fanny packs. So we're upcycling what would have otherwise been waste and minimizing the waste from the leather factory, and then using that to create my product. So that's how the 11th was born.
I love that. Like when we met in South Africa in Cape Town, I was just so amazed by your business because it looks so aesthetic and they're so beautiful. You couldn't even imagine they're upcycled. And yeah, I love
Yeah.
the fact that it's not just like a product, it's also like it has a story in it and it's so meaningful. And I wanted to talk more about this, like the meaning and the mission behind your business and
Yeah.
how this helps your sales, your development, and so on.
Yeah. So I think, well, for me, and nowadays, I think it's very important for you not only sell a product, but sell a story. And for your business to have a social impact is always a plus, I think. And I think that's the best way to contribute. Well, to the business world, there's so much good things that can happen in the business world if we all focus on creating an impact.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, my mission has always been about sustainability and like also the people I work with, like the artisans that make my handbags. It's a family owned shop here in Guatemala.
Mhm.
It's a father and daughter who hand make them. Like they have been working with leather for about 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the father actually used to work with my dad and grandpa in the factory, and he also had his shop on the side. So that's how I found him. And it's like a family owned business, and especially now with COVID and everything, they could really use like the job to make all of these fanny packs. And I hope that I can be able to also grow their shop whenever we increase production and increase sales. And so it's also very important for me, like who is making your things. I think it's
Yeah.
important that the customer knows that you can actually put a face behind it, a face and a name and a story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that has always been like the most important values of my business, and yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I love that because I think, from my perspective, this is the future of fashion industry. Like
Yes.
going and upcycling and seeing, like looking always for opportunities to just, upcycle and just recycle everything. What's your opinion on this? Like
For
where do you see like the fashion industry in 10 or 20 years?
I think it was already heading towards a more sustainable direction, but slowly. Like per se, my first year at school in FIDM, or my fashion school, I think there was some talk about like sustainability in the fashion industry, but it wasn't a big deal, and there weren't many brands out there about like sustainability or everything you now see on social media. That there are more like small startup fashion brands that are focusing on the product, the story, and all of this. So I think it grew a lot in the past 4 years. I started school in 2015, but I always saw it as a like slow progression into moving from fast fashion to slow fashion.
Yeah.
So by fast fashion, I mean that they sped up the trend cycles to 4 times a year, if not more. So they're changing their lines and changing their trends so frequently. And some stores even change their inventory every 2 weeks. Um, that you're creating so much product that is low quality, and you would then throw out like how many times I've bought shirts that I've worn maybe once or twice, just like
Hmm.
an impulse purchase because it was like $10.
Yeah.
Um, but I think COVID definitely will help speed things up towards like sustainability. Even if you're like reading trend reports right now, everything is going towards a more conscious consumer. I think everyone's paying a lot more attention now to what they purchase.
I love
Not
that.
Yeah. So yeah, not just in the fashion industry and everything. I think you're going to be more mindful about where it comes from, because you want to make sure it's like safe and well produced and everything. So there's already a massive trend towards sustainability in the fashion industry. Especially there's a lot of like big department stores that are closing down, that are going to have to reinvent themselves now because just the market changed drastically
Yeah.
in 2 months. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot of better steps towards a more sustainable industry. Yeah.
Yeah, I truly hope so. Like
Hmm.
I'm actually expecting from the big brands like
Yes.
H&M and Zara, and they are the leaders in the market and they have to do this. But until then, what can we do, like the young generation and the like people who are willing to buy and are the buyers, what we can do to help the planet through fashion?
Yeah. I think the simplest thing I always say is just buy stuff you really love and that you know you're going to wear multiple times and that is good quality. So, like, research the product, or even if it's like some shoes that are 200 and not 30, but you're gonna wear them 5 years, if not more, and not just 1 year, and that are good quality, that are durable, that don't have maybe as much chemicals as other clothes. And so, just like, even if it's not a sustainable brand, just making sure that it's something that you absolutely love and adore and that you're gonna wear for multiple times and it's not gonna like fall apart because it's such bad quality. I think that's easiest way. Just be conscious about what you're shopping. Like I think I think our generation kind of was bombarded with media about like shopping is therapy, or like, oh, when I'm bored I shopped, or like, like these type of messages, like, oh,
Yeah,
just buy
exactly.
it, like, so I think that I don't like that type of messaging. I think like if you're gonna purchase something, it should be like a conscious purchase, not just like an impulse purchase, like, oh, I feel sad, I'm gonna go buy something,
Yeah.
like that kind of attitude towards your shopping experience can definitely
Yeah,
help.
yeah, exactly. And especially if you're on Instagram, every other day you get like an ad of a new shop that's been open, and maybe it's like very cool and you want to buy it, but it's exactly how you said it, like it's like impulse.
Hmm.
But like when you enter a website or you search for a brand, what should you be looking at when you like actually looking to buy some conscious clothes?
Yeah.
Um, like what?
Well, online, I think you can always go to the like about us, about the company, and read their story. Like if they even mention how they make things, there's a lot of brands that don't even mention their production process.
Mhm.
Um, so if they do, and you know that it's made like properly with good materials, um, that's a good way you can know. Then if you're just at the store and you're looking at a tag, maybe familiarizing yourself with like the textiles that are good and the ones that are bad. Like anything that has polyester is obviously not ideal, because polyester is basically plastic. And what happens with things that are polyester is when you throw them in the wash, like mini particles are gonna fall off and go into the water cycle that then go into the oceans, and they're called microplastics. So all of these articles of clothing that are made with polyesters end up in the water just by washing it. Like you wouldn't even know because it's so microscopic. So maybe like familiarizing yourself with these specific textiles that aren't like the greatest ones. I think that would be one. And then yeah, just like if you know who made the clothes, what materials are there, what their mission is, like is it something they even care about?
Mhm.
I think you can look out for that type of
Yeah,
thing. Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I love that. And actually, like washing the clothes with too much polyester, then it goes into the water, and then the water we drink, and so on, and it's
Yeah,
actually harmful for us. But
yeah,
in what other ways does the fashion industry affects the planet? Because you said that in the beginning that it's like in the top three or
yes.
something. Like how does it affect besides like the water?
Yeah, so okay, there's all of those things that don't decompose, that are like plastics, not just in the water, but when you throw them out maybe and they go into a landfill or anything, um, they won't decompose. Then, for example, with leather, if it's not like a like vegetable tan leather, which means it's like naturally dyed, because all leather has some sort of pigment on it. And I think the dyes and everything, especially denim, can be really toxic. So if they're like dyed a very like fake color, you automatically know it's not something natural. So I think the dyes are a big part of it. I know there are many factories in the world that don't even regulate if they use dyes, like maybe a denim factory, and they go into the water streams near them because they don't take care of their waste. Water is another big one. Like I think I don't remember the quantity exactly, but it takes a massive amount of water to just make one cotton t-shirt, and jeans even more because you have to wash them a lot to get that feeling that they're like soft and used. Um, so yeah, like dyes, water consumption, mostly like things that are disposable, like excess consumption. Um, yeah, there's many other things, but those are a few that come to mind.
Mhm. I love that. Yeah. But how, like you said that you had an international experience in in this way, and how did your experience, like seeing so many cultures and people, influenced the way you live now and you do business?
Wow, that's a good question. I think a lot. I don't think I would definitely be the same person if I had not lived abroad or done the experiences I have been blessed to have the opportunity to do. I think for sure living in LA influenced my style, like my business. I think LA is a very pioneer city for sustainability and fashion trends. I think what I liked about it, it was more style driven with small brands than, let's say, like the East Coast. It's all about like designer and what brands you're wearing. And I think LA is more, it can be like that, but it's also like the shops I went to were already like doing this, like um they were very like boutique and personal, and just the style that they had, and like the lifestyle is very just around that, even like the way people eat, and just more conscious oriented. So
Hmm.
that definitely influenced me. LA definitely influenced me. And then just like going to Cape Town or working in Uganda, that was definitely that had a big impact on me, because it was in a very low income, like rural area that we were living in. Like we didn't have any showers, we didn't have electricity most of the time. There was no like plumbing in the toilets. It was like a hole in the ground. And then just seeing like all these people coming from like such disadvantaged backgrounds, like in this same place that we were, and just starting their businesses from nothing. They had no funding, no anything. And just seeing like how they involved impact into their businesses. I think that also like just like really opens your eyes to, there's so many problems out there that you could help even with a profitable business, not specifically a nonprofit. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I love the Uganda experience. I think that
Yeah.
it's life changing for everybody that can experience that.
hmm
But what was like the main mission of you there? Because I know it was something like with the social impact, social entrepreneurship or something. But can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so it was a program that helped people from disadvantaged backgrounds launch their businesses, that they were all related to social impact. So basically, how it worked, it was 1 year of training, which was more like life coaching and introspective. Like they started out working on themselves, like looking inwards, and just kind of like a coaching training experience. And then after that, they would go into a boot camp where they would have to come up with an idea, a business idea that either solved a problem in their community or a personal problem or anything like that, and then come up with a business idea based on that, like what it would solve, what kind of impact it would have. And I went there as a mentor for one of the businesses that already had like 2 years up and running, and they upcycled like plastic waste into clothing.
Yeah.
So they would make things out of like sugar sacks or like milk cartons and turn it into either like a raincoat or anything like that. Um, so I kind of went as a mentor. I helped them create like an online shop, kind of like digitize more what they were doing, like work
Mhm.
on their social media strategies and all of that. But there were a lot of different businesses that were really incredible, and so they basically helped them there and mentored them on how to launch their business with no funding. Like they had to apply to like different grants or competitions that would earn them some seed money to continue their project. hmm
Yeah, I just simply love that, and I love the concept of developing a country with like social entrepreneurship, because I think it's so important right now to not just to look for the money and for the profit, but also on the impact it makes in the community itself.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's like everywhere in the world, especially like in Africa, and but also in Romania and everywhere. It's so important. But I'm very curious to know,
Guatemala too.
yeah, yeah, how is the business world in Guatemala, for example, like where you live right now?
Um, well, Guatemala is a Democrat country. I think the business world is growing each year. It grows more and more and more. We're the largest economy in Central America, so I think it's pretty stable. Like the currency has never fluctuated in my 23 years of life. um, but yeah, I think it is going more again towards entrepreneurship, especially in my generation and especially females in my generation.
Oh,
Surprisingly, uh, they are the ones who are starting the most entrepreneurship projects. And I think maybe because I don't know, I think it's more of a cultural thing that guys are expected to go into the family business, whereas girls are more free to choose what to do. So a lot of them have chosen to um, just start their own business. And I think it's just really inspiring to see like everyone, or like from my school, for example, that are grades above me that have graduated for a while now. Like a lot of them have their own business, and I think it's going more towards that direction. There's definitely more of a sustainability trend as in technology too. I think there's a big uh, like area in fintech growing. Um, but yeah, I think it can definitely be more than what it is, but it's going in the right direction. So yeah.
mhm.
Hmm.
Wow, yeah, like it's like the first time I've heard in a zone it's like more female focused on entrepreneurship, and it makes sense actually, like the boys taking on the family business. But
Hmm.
how is like the support, the entrepreneurial support there for female founders? Because here in Romania it's like it's different, and it's still not as it's supposed to be, because every time I go to business events, well, when they were organized, it was mostly men, and like females usually experience that feeling of unworthiness, or I don't think I'm good enough to do that. How is like the mindset there in the sport?
I think like maybe there's not, I would say, specific support like from the government or anything like that. Um, I know they have changed a couple laws to make it more friendly for entrepreneurs lately, but for women specifically, I think, well, I've just heard about like different organizations about like women in the business world that can help you with like mentorship and things like that. There's like an incubator similar to what I did in Uganda that helps businesses. You can register for free, and they
Hmm.
help you economics, how to measure your impact. And there's another program very similar to the one I went to that focuses on people with like disadvantaged backgrounds and help you grow your business. So I think there are some programs here and there that if you would want help, you can find it. Um, like what has helped the most for me specifically is just reach out to people that has done something similar, or just like started their own business. Either it's just like someone with expertise in shipping to the US or anything like that, and just like calling them up and be like, hey, can I borrow like 10 minutes of your time, and just have them tell me their experience. I think that's what's been the most helpful for me. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think reaching out to people is always like the go-to skill, um,
Yeah.
to just learn as you go. But what has been like the biggest challenge you faced as a young female entrepreneur so far?
um I think, well, right now I think the biggest challenge would be just like shipping logistics
Okay.
because my goal is to, well, we're working on an online shop now to launch in the US just
Mhm.
because I don't think the market in Guatemala is big enough for the 11th, especially because our price point is a little higher. Um, but yeah, I think just kind of figuring all the logistics and operations, especially not having lived in Guatemala for so long, like the past 4 years, that just like coming back, I like have to relearn basically how the business world works here because I've been in the US and that's like kind of where I learned it. So I think maybe that, like figuring out the logistics, like the legal side, like making sure everything is in order with the right like papers and like registering the brand name here and in the US. And I think kind of like the, yeah, just the aspect of like maybe exporting and like globalizing the brand has been tricky, but I've loved learning about it and like learning like what steps to take from there to make it more of a formal business.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and I fully support you on that because like taking your business on a global scale, it's such a big challenge for people, especially in the beginning. This is
Mm-hmm.
something I plan to do also with Elevator. So yeah, maybe in a few months or
Yeah.
so. Yeah, yeah. But what's the lesson you've learned so far that you wished you know since you were like little? Because I think we grow up with so many like things about ourselves and about the world, and like what's that thing you wished you knew earlier?
um well, I think maybe two things. First, that it is possible to have a business that helps people and still have it be like a business, not necessarily working in nonprofits.
Mhm.
Because I think I was always torn between like my want to help people and like work with people or the environment or whatever and start my own business. But I think it wasn't as popular back then as it is now to do both, and how it is very important to like integrate it. um Another thing that I would say is maybe like you won't learn until you do it. Like there's no waiting around for like motivation or until I'm older and I'm more inspired. It's like no, just like pick a place and start. I think action will actually create motivation, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Um, so don't like I think people get scared on like thinking like looking kind of yeah at the bigger picture, I guess, but like how is this business going to grow, like, or just like worrying about all these things that are nowhere near yet. So it's just like just start, like make a product, make the recipe, just literally pick a place, start selling. Like you can change later, you can change your product, you can change your price, you can change everything. So don't like I think don't be scared to just like jump in and with something that maybe you're not sure of. Like I think that's the best way to learn. Like you get feedback from your customers, from the market, and you adjust. So maybe that would be another thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So just start
Just
and don't
start.
overthink that. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so important. And on that, like helping people while having a business, it's also been for me such a challenge so far because like in Romania, it's not that popular. And I have people around me that are only money focused, and I always like had that desire of helping people, but I didn't have like other around me to do that. So
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah.
think when you realize that you can help people and you can make money and you can have an impact, it's just so great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Best of both worlds.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but what should someone do if they would want like to start their own sustainable brand, to say so?
Yeah, I think maybe the first things you have to look at is kind of like your materials. What are you working with? Well, depends what, if it would be a service or a product or anything. Just, well, I think the first thing is looking what type of impact you want to create. Like, what's the problem? What problem are you trying to solve? That should always be the first question. Like, is it excess like material like the leather, or is it a problem in the community, like maybe there's no access to drinkable water, maybe um like a project in Uganda that I really loved, focused on like the problem with sanitation in the bathroom. So in Uganda, a lot of the toilets are like the ones that are holes in the ground, not like the one where you sit. So when you squat and then sometimes you are peeing, then it would bounce back, and a lot of women, like 70%, got UTIs from that. And like 14% of pregnant women would lose their child because of getting infections from this toilet. So they identified this problem and they were like, okay, what do we want to do? And they created a spray made out of organic materials. It had no chemicals, no anything, that you would spray on the surface of the bowl before you went to the bathroom, and it would kill all the bacteria and prevent these infections. So I think just like pinpointing a problem, and the more specific the better, that you want to help with, and then going from there. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I think that everything that starts with solving a specific problem and not only making money is making everything so simple,
Yeah.
because you're mainly focused on people and on who you're helping, and then the money will come. This is like how I see it.
Yeah. But oh yes. That too, but also making sure that you can be profitable, you know, like making sure that you are earning money to be able to help, to keep helping communities or people or whatever it is, to make it a scalable business. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Um, right now, I want to go a little bit like on the inner work to see so, and I'm very curious to know what's the biggest fear you've overcome so far, because I see like a lot in the, especially in the young generation, that it's not that experienced or doesn't have like the knowledge. Uh,
Hmm.
they face with so many fears that stop them from doing what they love. And yeah, I'm very curious to know about yours.
uh my biggest fear, well I think, I answered this on the questions you asked me before, uh but I always feared like moving back home. I felt like maybe I wouldn't like necessarily, I don't know, like that I wouldn't in the business world kind of like do what I was wanted to be doing, or have the same like resources or like lifestyle in LA. I think, but I think it's very important to acknowledge that you create your own reality. You create like the situation you're in and how to take advantage of that. So I think just maybe like a lot of times we get overwhelmed by the things we don't have, and like looking at other people and, oh, they started their business by doing this and that, but like that's not available to me. And that's okay. I think everyone has a different story. And I think also like what happens with our generation is we're very used to instant gratification, just because everything is like so fast, or in your phone or everything, you have like no more patience to sit through like a 2 hour documentary anymore, you know, like our attention span is just
Yeah.
short. And I think we can be very frustrated when we don't see results like fast. I think that's a very common thing in our generation. So just like taking it step by step, like not getting overwhelmed or not like throwing in the towel just because after 2 months you're not where you wanted to be. I think a business, it also takes time, you know, it's not like an immediate success story, and it takes work and it takes dedication. So I think like two things: one, not being intimidated by starting, and but then also just like being patient with it. I think yeah, I think that was one. I think I kind of felt like not getting a job in LA was kind of like a failure, but I knew I didn't want to go into the corporate world. Um, so I think sticking to my instinct paid off, even though it was hard to move back home. I get to do what I love and like work on my business and work on my project. So I think, yeah, just follow your instincts and do what really like makes you happy, not just go for the big job. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And I think it's like such a powerful example because a lot of people dream about going to LA. Like even me, and now I watch a series on Netflix, and it's like luxury real estate from like LA, and it's so beautiful. And just
Yeah.
going back to Guatemala from there, I really do. I think it was a very big step, but. Yeah, as I understand from your story, it's more like following your passion more than just what you think you should do because the society tells you, uh,
Yeah.
or just looking good. For
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely follow your own path.
exactly, and create your own path. I think it's so
Hmm.
important. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
But how have you developed self confidence in in your journey? Because taking those decisions takes a lot of belief in yourself, and I think a lot of people don't have that. So I'm very curious to know how did you develop that belief?
Yeah, I think I don't know, I've always been like I've always believed that if you like want something and you work for it, it'll happen.
Mhm.
And you definitely like attract your vibe, you know? And I think if you are putting out some like an attitude of confidence and of like what you want or and like manifesting what you want, that is what is going to happen in your life. So I think definitely having the right mindset from the start will help you. And even just like how you phrase things, like, you know, like, oh, like I wish I could have a successful business, and then changing it to like when I have a successful business, and kind of just like stating the things you want. And just I know it can be really hard to like put a lot of pressure on yourself and feel like maybe you're not doing enough or you're not doing this and that, but also like allowing yourself to maybe have like an off day, like that's okay, you know, you don't have to be working 24/7. I don't think it's about like working hard doesn't have to mean working all hours of every day. Like if you are working in something that you love, then you will give it your all and your attention and still have a balanced life. So I think like yeah, attitude is very important when you start a business. Just just I don't know, like when look I don't know how I would say it, but maybe like anyone can have a success story, you know, like don't be intimidated by a fact that this person has that or did that. Like that can be you, and just believe that it can be you and it will be you. And just knowing that like everyone has a different skill set and a different talent, and it's just up to us to exploit that and take it to yeah the next level.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's so much about exploring your true self and your passions because it's so easy to just look on social media and see all those people who are seem successful and you don't know where to start. But yeah, I think it's like when you're
Mhm.
in the beginning, it's just exploring and testing and discovering yourself day by day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and about that, I'm curious to know like your day-to-day habit that keeps you motivated and focused. Because I recognize that you mentioned about like affirmation and
Mhm.
manifesting and stuff like that, and I'm sure that it's a part of it. But I'm curious to know about like the whole your whole process and how you.
Yeah. Well, I think also something important to keep in mind is that during quarantine, everyone is put outside of their comfort zone, you know? And I think it's also okay to have days where maybe you're not feeling so great, or like just allowing yourself to just be how you're feeling that day without putting that much pressure, like, oh, I should be working every day because I have all this free time and this and that. I think that has been important for me, like trying not to be too hard on myself when I like don't have a very productive day.
Yeah. Mhm.
But when I do, I think it's always how I start my day. Like I
Mhm.
try to wake up and the first thing I do is exercise, because if I do that later in the day, then it'll be harder to find the time for it, or you'll be making excuses or something. So I think it's always better when I start my day like that. And then I think something that was very useful that I actually heard on a podcast was to like to bucket your days, so like categorize them. So like let's say Monday I will work on the website and focus on that. Then Tuesday I will work on design and like making design. Wednesday I will focus on something else. So kind of just like dividing the tasks, because what happens to me is if I start working and then I see, oh, I also have to do this, and then I will get like, sorry, my puppy is like trying to go places. But so yeah, like I will easily get distracted and then end up being not productive at all, because I try to do 10 different things instead of
Yeah.
just focusing on one.
Mhm.
So I think that has really helped me, just like picking one category and focusing on that, because I always like jump from here to there and then I don't end up doing anything. So
Yeah, I know.
yeah, so I think that has really helped me. Um, and yeah, maybe just like picking a couple things that I want to be done by like this month maybe, and
Mhm.
just making sure that if anything, at least I did those 3-4 things.
Mhm.
I think that's a way to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea with the categorizing days, because I think it helps you focus more on like what you want to do, and to just be there, either creative or strategic, or like just keeping your focus. I think it's so
Yeah.
important. Yeah, yeah, I love that. Well, I love the conversation, Mariela. I think we're such on the same vibe. And if you have like something to say to our listeners and like to the young females that wanna take action on their dreams, if you have something to say, I would be pleased to hear it.
Well, I would, yeah, just like to say, like, follow your gut, whatever that is. Don't compromise. I think there's always a way, and always a way to figure out how to do it with the resources that are available to you. I don't think that should be something that stops you. And yeah, I hope you like follow your voice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love that. Thank you so much for joining. It was
Thank
such a
you, Anna.
pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It was great to share with you guys.
Yeah, amazing.